Competitive Pokemon has been murdered, but we have the prime suspect in custody. This is Urshifu. And if you know anything about official competitive Pokemon, you know that top players all over the world have been blaming this goofy bear for literally every problem the game has, from how centralized the metagame is, to frame rate problems, to property taxes going up.
It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace.
But why are they saying this? And are they right to do so? Well, first, let's look at Urshifu in a vacuum. It has two forms, Rapid Strike, which is Water and Fighting type, and Single Strike, which is Dark and Fighting type. They share an ability that makes them both absurdly powerful, Unseen Fist, which allows their contact moves to hit through Protect. We'll talk about that ability a lot. And Urshifu ignoring things seems to be a theme, because its Water type signature move, Surging Strikes, a 25 base power move that always hits 3 times, and Wicked Blow, its Dark type signature move, a 75 base power move, both always crit, meaning Urshifu's strongest attacks will always do their full amount of damage, even if you drop their attack stat or buff your own defenses. It's extremely difficult to effectively neutralize. That's simple enough, but why is their ability so absurdly strong? It may seem obvious to some of you, but for the more casual player, Protect is a cornerstone of competitive Pokemon. The ability to just keep your Pokemon safe for a turn helps in a million situations, especially when each player has 2 Pokemon on the field. It can discourage your opponent from attacking with both of their Pokemon into one of yours, because if you Protect, it wastes their turn while your second Pokemon does whatever it wants. You can use Protect to stall out field effects that only last a certain number of turns, like Trick Room, Tailwind, and Weathers. You can use it to stop your opponents from using moves that have specific timing conditions like Fake Out. I can go on and on and on. But into a nutshell, Protect is the defensive tool that stops competitive Pokemon from turning into an all-out hyper-offensive brawl. At least, it was, until Urshifu showed up. Oh, and I got so caught up talking about these Unseen Fists that I forgot to mention, this guy's a legendary, by the way, meaning these are its stats. It hits super hard, it's pretty fast and bulky, it would honestly probably still be pretty good even if it didn't have Unseen Fist. So we've talked a lot about why this guy is so strong in theory, but how did it manifest? Let's take a look at how Urshifu was done historically since it was released in Sword and Shield's first DLC, the Isle of Armor. But first, subscribe, or Urshifu will be hitting through your Protect. Now, mere weeks after Urshifu was introduced into the game, Urshifu Rapid Strike won the first Players' Cup tournament in the hands of Centino Tarquinio. Urshifu's purpose on the team was twofold. First, it can be used to set off the powerful weakness policy Colossal strategy, which lets you set up a Gigantamaxed Colossal with +2 stages of speed, attack, and special attack to do devastating damage. And its second function was as the Water-type member of the team's Fire-Water Grass Core, consisting of Rillaboom, Incineroar, and Urshifu Rapid Strike. These 3 Pokemon cover each other's weaknesses beautifully. Urshifu was also able to take advantage of the power of Max Airstream from Santino's Togekiss. Making such a powerful Pokemon like Urshifu move first can be very difficult to interact with, especially since you can't Protect. There was only one other Urshifu in the top 8 of that tournament, in the hands of Julian Martinez, who used a Focus Sash Urshifu Single Strike as a powerful physical attacker on his balance team. Surprisingly, at the next Players' Cup, a whole second DLC released full of powerful Pokemon released later, Urshifu Rapid Strike and Colossal won again, in the hands of Wolf Glick. The finals of this tournament was an Urshifu off, with Wolf using Urshifu Rapid Strike, and his opponent David using Single Strike on his innovative Regigigas Weezing team. Around this time, the Nut Core was becoming extremely popular, the combination of Nihiligo, Urshifu Single Strike, and Thunderous Incarnate. This was tearing up the unofficial tournament circuit and in-game ladder. Even once broken box legendaries like Kyogre and Groudon were allowed back into the format, Urshifu was still showing how powerful it was, with the Single Strike variant getting 4th place at the 3rd Players' Cup in the hands of Alberto Daza. But at this point, you might be scratching your head. Scraw, you talked about this thing being broken, and so far, you've talked about it winning, or doing well, sure, but only with 2 or 3 in the top 8, so what gives? Dynamax wasn't really Urshifu's favorite thing. It didn't take great advantage of the mechanic itself, and with power of Max Airstream making huge 140 base power flying type moves super prominent, it wasn't exactly the best thing for a fighting type like Urshifu. Plus, with the ability to double a Pokemon's HP with Dynamax, it naturally makes a Pokemon like Urshifu, who offers very little in terms of support and just wants to hit, a little less impressive. So I can't imagine what would have happened if, I don't know, suddenly they made a format where you couldn't Dynamax. Well, about that, the last Players' Cup, which was an 8-player invitational of some of the best players in the world, was played in a format where Dynamax was not allowed. And the winner, Santino Tarquinio, took it all down with a Kyogre Urshifu Rapid Strike Tornadus team. The premise was pretty simple. Kyogre sets up rain and loves going fast, Urshifu Rapid Strike loves going fast and being in the rain, and Tornadus can make sure both Pokemon go fast and can get rain back up if Kyogre's Drizzle gets messed with. It's simply a match made in heaven. Urshifu Rapid Strike in the rain can start picking up KOs on Pokemon that resist its hits. I can't imagine what would happen if there was another way to increase Urshifu's damage at the same time. That might break the game. Anyway, after that format we were given what was called Series 12, a format that once again allowed Dynamax and allowed for 2 restricted legendaries on a team at the same time. At that point, there was simply too much competition and stuff working against Urshifu, so he became less common. It did still appear on the occasional top 8 in regionals, but it was no longer a meta-defining threat, just something to keep your eye on. And then, we moved generations, and we were introduced to the terrestrialization phenomenon. Dynamax was replaced with the ability to, once per battle, change a Pokemon's typing, giving it all the attributes a Pokemon of that type would normally have, or amplifying damage even further than the normal same-type attack bonus if you terrestrialize into a type you already were. Once Urshifu was introduced into the game during Pokemon Home, it became an absolute monster. Even with both of the most common Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, Iron Hands and Fluttermane, hitting both Urshifu forms for devastating super effective damage and threatening to knock them out, the raw power that Urshifu offered just made it too good. Not to mention the fact that the most potent defensive tool people had against it, Dynamax, was completely gone. Right away, Urshifu won the first tournament it was legal for, which happened to be the World Championships. The champion, Shohei Kimura, ran a bulky, Mystic Water, Terra Water, Urshifu Rapid Strike on a balanced team. The plan was to keep it safe with Pokemon like Amoonguss, and used Pokemon like Chin-Pao to make sure it dealt devastating damage. And the other 6, yes, the 6 Urshifus that showed up on different teams in top 8, all showed off different ways that Urshifu could be leveraged. The second place player, Mikkel Kelsch, gave his Urshifu Rapid Strike a choice scarf and put it next to Farigiraf to stop his opponents from getting around how blisteringly fast Urshifu was with priority moves. Third place ran the same balanced team as first, 4th and 7th ran Urshifu Single Strike, and paired it with extremely fast Icy Wind Fluttermane, while Abdullah, aka Sempra, in 5th place, ran Urshifu Rapid Strike in the rain with Pelipper to amplify its damage to absurd degrees. Finally, the 6th place player, Victor Medina, and the 8th place player, Maddie Morgan, both brought Urshifu Rapid Strike with Tornadus, using Tailwind to make sure Urshifu was KOing things before they could move, and using Rain to amplify Urshifu's attack power even more. And so, we've reached the present day. Since Worlds, some variant of an Urshifu Rapid Strike team that can trace directly back to this year's World Championship top 8 teams have won all but 3 of the major official events the Pokemon Company has hosted. So, it's winning a lot. We explained why, in theory, Urshifu is so powerful, and have given examples of how oppressive it's been since the game's release. How, without Dynamax to slow it down, it's completely taken over the game like some kind of invasive species whose natural predator has been removed. But is Urshifu the horrific monster we're making it out to be? Or do people just need to accept that it's strong, accept that it's here, and figure out more creative ways around it, like Gastrodon or Water Ogerpon? I'll leave that question up to you in the comments. Thanks for watching.